Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back.
All right, here we
Still
go.
hanging with us.
Back at it for the next session.
Yes. Public event request forms and public work order request forms. Kim and I are doing this
Yes.
session together, two of our favorite things to talk and equip you to further for your use and your efficiency. We love using these. I touched on those earlier.
You did.
Yeah, in our sessions. I didn't take a deep dive because I knew we had this session coming, Kim, but um, public event request forms. Let's just talk about who needs to have those, what purpose they have. You want to unpack that, and then I'm going to take a dive into eSPACE and show our users how they function.
You bet. So public request forms, and honestly, whether it's an event scheduler form or a work order form, the reality of it is start with the people you want to be able to submit those who are not users in the software. So move away from the thought of, oh, I don't want everybody in the general public to be able to do this, although you might, and that'd be okay. But think about it, think less, think non-users, someone who's not a user in the software. I want them to be able to request an event, open a work order without having to give them a login, user permissions, and be able to manage all that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh-oh, I'm seeing a note that there's some folks that are not successfully getting in because there's a link from Lee that didn't work. So just log into your Hoover. I don't know who I'm talking to because those folks aren't here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure. We have quite a few attendees here. We
we
have
do over
so yeah.
100. My goodness.
Yeah, so this session is going to move pretty fast.
Yep.
So I'm going to try to move through it quickly. And what I'm going to do, I touched on our billing and invoicing piece of event registration earlier. So I'm actually going to use one of our billable forms, and it will look the same even if you don't have billing and invoicing, but I want to make sure that if you do have billing and invoicing, you're going to see how those function. So the only part of it that won't function for you if you don't have billing and invoicing, it's just the billable piece of it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You guys know the drill by now. And we're in the custom event request forms section that's within advanced settings. Again, if you are an admin, you're the only one that's going to see this. If you only have user permission, sub-admin permission, you're not going to see the back end of this custom event request form. For this one, you can see I've created 3. You can create as many as you want. Each one generates an individual link. Let's view that. And this is what the form looks like. So you can put your own graphic at the top of that one. I'm going to go ahead and put some of my information in. I'm just going to go ahead and put my own name in the boxes. You'll notice some of those are required fields. You want to know who's delivering the form to you. This is going to capture that information for you. I'm just going to put party here in the event name and the event description. This will be fun. We hope this session will be fun for you.
It will be. Loads
We're
of
just
fun.
we're going to choose May 25th for the date and the start time. I'm going to go ahead and choose, let's see, let's bump it up to about 2 p.m. That's a good time for a party. And we're going to round it out at 4 p.m. You have the option to include, if you're multi-campus, multi-location, you can create a form per location. You can create one where users can select from any of your locations. So this is what it looks like. You just have that limited to one. I've got several locations in my account. This particular form is limited to one location. There's that number of people requirement you can include again. I'm going to go ahead and put 50 people in for this one. This is a field that you can add. It's an option when you're setting up your form. And then you can add some custom questions. These 2 faint lines, if you can see those, that is a space where you can create any kind of questions that you want to feed out to your forms. These can come in the form of radio buttons, text fields, text boxes. You can add yes or no questions in there. Lots of capability. There's even more options for form fields with this form than there are for that little internal form and form builder. You can make these required or not. You see some of them have that red asterisk and some don't. You can even put a copy of your facility policy. If you want people to read that policy, know what is expected of them, know where they're restricted, they can read that policy. You can grab a checkbox, throw that in there, make it required that they agree to leave your campus better than they found it. You can put, some other agreements there if you want with using a checkbox. And then you put that real person ID in there.
While you
And
do that, Casey, you can even add the ability to upload. So if you
yeah,
want to add for someone to upload maybe a copy of their insurance rider, you can do that.
definitely can. Lots of options with those custom questions. When you go to the next page, you have the summary of information that you've already input. And then if you allow it, this is where it gets fun. You can allow your public spaces, you can allow public spaces, resources, and services. If you were with us for the session that Becca and I did for advanced settings, I showed you how within your spaces, resources, and services to mark them public at the very bottom. This is where that comes to life. So not only can you make all of your spaces public, you can actually limit which spaces, resources, and services go out to this form. Really a lot of capability to customize these the way you want. When you look at your spaces, you'll notice they're arranged in the same organizational hierarchy. They feed right from your spaces and event scheduler. You notice when you go through these, each one has a little dollar sign beside it. You can opt so people can see how much they're going to be charged either per hour when they book this room or a flat rate. You can assign those things right in billing and invoicing if you have it. If you select a space that is unavailable for your event, you're going to see conflicts. If you put restrictions in place, it's not going to allow you to select it. I think my worship center has a conflict that day. Yep, there you go. So the end user is going to see if there's a conflict already in place, the real-time conflict detection is going to work for you with this form too. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle that off. We'll go ahead and select C201 and Olympic Commons. Now, if you want, you can add those setup details with your spaces. I'm going to select tech support for this one and notice that I get that warning that this event has incomplete forms. I can even require my external users to complete the forms if they need to and submit those so they can submit this event request. Again, the check mark shows up, lets them know they've submitted it. So you can mimic this as much as you want to. You can restrict it down. The other thing you can do, again, if you have billing and invoicing, is you can let the customers know or the people renting your space right up front about how much it's going to cost. They receive an estimate. They can view the details and see the price breakdown there, so they see exactly what that's going to cost them. Again, that's available if you have billing and invoicing. When we're ready to submit, all you have to do is submit that event, and it's going to come right into your dashboard as an event request. So let's go back there and take a look at what it looks like on your dashboard. So if you don't have billing and invoicing, it's going to show up right here just as an event request. These forms function the exact same way. Depending on what you have, depends on where they land on your dashboard. They'll show up as an event request if it's non-billable. You can review it right here. You can review the details of it. You can submit the event through your workflow. You can actually approve it right away if you want, or you can decline it and tell them, this is not something that aligns with our ministry or with our organization. If you have billing and invoicing, that was a billable form, remember? It's going to show up right here under rental requests. The little red badge notification shows you've got some rental requests. And you can view the details for the rental request. So that's the party we just submitted. I can again view the details. I can go ahead and submit this event right into our workflow. When that event is submitted into your workflow, it then goes through all the processes that we've talked about today. Your approval processes that you put in place as approval layers, Kim and Becca talked about earlier, the admin settings that you've adjusted for different outcomes. Just all those details are going to flow nicely, and they all started with that public link. Now, that link that it's generated, let's go back to your settings and take one step back, and let's look how to construct this thing. So I'm going to go back to event request forms. Again, this is under your advanced settings. You're going to see this if you're at the premium, ultimate, or enterprise tier with us. And you're going to be able to build this form. Now, I want to drop one down and show you the link. So this link can be added to in your website. It can be added to your auto signature. You can still, just like work orders, Kim's going to show you how to create a QR code. You can create a QR code for this link as well if you want. Depends on how far of a reach you want to send that form out. What is designed to do, if you are a church administrative assistant, you're taking phone calls all the time about events, going back and forth with communications, this is going to dial that communication in greatly. It's going to give you all the details you need with the request, so you don't have to go back and forth checking for availability to see if your text services are going to be available, things like that. You can copy this either, right here at the copy button and throw that into your auto signature on a website if you want to. Now, building the form, I'm gonna click the edit button because this one's already constructed. So I'm gonna highlight some areas. We're going to give you, when you construct this form, the first several fields. We don't want you to have to keep creating those fields over and over again. So we're going to give you the ones that make the most sense. And some of those are going to be required and kind of not what I call non-negotiable. They're always going to be included in your forms. And then once you create your form and click save, you're going to have the link that's generated. And then you have some ability to be creative. You can give your form a specific name. Activating it, of course, makes it available for public use. If it's not active, nobody's going to be able to click that link. It's going to go to an invalid URL. So make sure you activate it. But this is a neat thing, because if you need to turn it off for a season, if for some reason your campus or your organization is no longer accepting outside event requests and you just need to shut it off for a little bit, you can do that to allow you time. Maybe you've got a construction project coming and you just want to turn it off, but you don't want to lose all those details. That button is going to help you a lot. Multi-campus location. This is going to allow your users to select multiple locations. Again, I've got this one limited to just one of my campuses. You do have to have one user to manage these forms, manage intake of them. So you're going to list your users to manage the forms right here in this box. We looked at public calendars earlier. You can make this form available on your public calendar. It's going to feed it right over there. And then you can customize the button that's on that public calendar, so it matches your color scheme on your public calendar. And then you can customize your thank you message. So after people submit the form, they're going to get a thank you message. That's right here at the top. You can customize that right there. I've got my image thrown in there. It's our logo. And then this is where you can get even more creative with your form. You can require they put a description in. If you have billing and invoicing, you're going to notate whether it's a billable form. You don't have to display that estimated billable price. If you have billing and invoicing, you can turn that off. Some other things you can do with billing and invoicing. This is where it really gets fun. If you have elected to make some or all of your spaces, resources, or services public, you can make them, you can show public spaces, which is going to show all. Doing this will show all your spaces. Making it space specific allows you to pick and choose what you want to feed out to this form. I love this feature. Make this work for you. A lot of people get overwhelmed with this, but really just make this form work for you and how you need to collect information. Same rules apply for resources and services. You can show your public ones, all of them, or just some of them, or not at all. Event scheduler requires at least one item to submit an event. We can make that rule apply here too, but you don't have to. If you want, you can allow your requester to enter the setup details. That toggle button is what's going to generate your configurations, your forms that you've attached to any spaces, resources, and services. And then you can check your item availability, lots of other options that you can use here to mimic event scheduler, setup and tear down times, recurrence rules. Are you going to let them decide if the event's public or not? Maybe you want them to feed it to the public calendar so everybody else can see if space is available for a certain date and time. You can even make the default value public if you want. Offsite events, you can allow the public to request. Maybe they need to book an event for a group, but it's not going to be at the building. It's going to be somewhere offsite, but they still need to request that through you and go through the proper channels. You can do that. Number of people, you can allow them to enter the number of people, make it a requirement. Very helpful information. This one we love, don't we, Kim?
Oh, we do.
Remove the all-day event option. All day is not 8 to 5. That is a 24-hour cycle from 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. midnight to 11:59 p.m. the next day. So I just tell people, go ahead and shut that off. If you think people are going to think that all day means 8 to 5, you can put that date restriction in place. And then you can allow public users to submit events with conflicts if you would like, and then also allow them to select event categories.
And that date restriction, just so you know, folks, can be different than the one that you
Yes.
set for your internal users on your general settings that Casey showed you in a previous session.
That's right. If you've got 7 days set for your internal users, you can make it 2 weeks for the public. So you definitely can make those different. And then here are your custom questions. Again, adding custom questions is very easy. You're just going to add a new question. You have lots of options here. That upload option that Kim mentioned earlier, very cool, where you can upload something, a signed policy, and upload that and make it part of your event request. Then the other options are here too. You can create as many of these as you would like. Once you click save, if you're working inside of a specific form, it's going to go ahead and add them to that form. But the really neat thing is when you build these questions, it's actually going to keep them in a library for you. So if you build subsequent forms, those custom questions are still available for you to add to the event request forms. Once you build your form, click save, keep working with it until it's just the way you want it. And it's going to be a time saver for you guys. It's going to be a very useful tool when it comes to allowing people to request events at your building, at your campus, and then collecting all those pieces of information right up front. When the event comes in, I walked you through the billing and invoicing snippet of that earlier. You can generate their invoice, send it right out to them. And the whole process is just really, really seamless. So I think Kim helped me. Did I miss anything?
I think another important thing for everyone to know is build these forms to work for you, not the other way around. And by that, what I mean is, if you have very specific things you allow maybe the public to ask for, a wedding, funerals, and there's only certain spaces that they're allowed to use. Make the form smart, just like Casey showed you, restrict to only what should be part of the selection process. And that really reduces the amount of time that you're spending doing that back and forth, whether it's email or phone calls. It just makes it a lot more efficient.
Totally. Again, don't forget, you can make as many of these as you want. If you have a specific form for a wedding, a specific form for a celebration of life or a funeral, so helpful to just have that, be able to shoot that link right out there.
Jennifer and Julie, about are interested to know about how is the form able to be shared on a website.
Yeah, so this one, so you have a link with it. It doesn't have that embed code that like our public calendar does. But you can still post that to a website and kind of embed it. And that's a little more technical, I will admit to you, than I have. Kim, you might know the more technical answer to that.
Yeah, technically, you said exactly the answer. You copy this, hit that copy button, it's going to put it on your clipboard, and you send it to whoever's responsible for your website. And I realize some of that might be you, as those of you that are also listening to this, but you will know what to do with it because you are experts at managing a website.
That's right. That's right. Good. Well, Kim, I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
And let you jump into work order public forms.
All right, we're going to pop into my work order account. Now I've got 2 public forms that I've pre-set up here. And you'll see that under settings, advanced, public work order request. Now, again, don't get your head all wrapped up in that word public. Go back to it's the non-user. You can decide who you want to give this form link to. A lot of times facility folks might freak out at the idea of every single guest in their building being able to open a work order. Others might welcome that. And how can you manage that? So I have 2 forms that I've set up. So we're specifically talking about the forms right now. And I've got 2. And the first one is a general form. And I'm just going to edit it because I want to show you the edit capabilities first. When you are building a form, and you can build as many as you want, you'll see that you have the option to do a few things. I can even allow users in the software to fill out this public form if I want. So if I want to make it convenient for folks that maybe are also users in the software, I can allow them to still fill out this form. I can choose all or some of my locations, depends on, what your need is. This is key. I can choose to allow all or some of my service categories. Now, this is a general form, so I have left this wide open. They can choose any of my service categories when they fill out this form. I also allow them to choose any of my priorities for this form. Now, I'm going to show you my other form, and I'll show you why, in some instances, why I don't allow it. In this case, it's a general form. I'm going to give them pretty much access to everything. But I have a lot fewer options here because with work orders, it's really fairly straightforward. The type of information that you need to collect. Do I want spaces on my work order form? Well, I do, because I hate getting work orders that say change a light bulb and I don't know where. That frustrates me. Do I want to make that space a required field? I do it right here. Do I want to allow the ability for comments? Well, I prescribe to the more information I can get up front, the better, rule of thumb. So I always say yes. Now, if you're using departments, and I know we haven't had our have we had our advanced session on work orders yet? Casey, I can't remember.
That is immediately after this one.
Immediately after this. So I'm going to let you talk about departments. And I know Nathan will talk about it. So I know his thoughts. But departments, if you want people to be able to see those, you can. Do I want to require a requested completion date, or do I just want to hide it because I don't want to get requested completion dates from non-users? I'm going to decide based on priority. It's that simple. These are the only fields that you have. But once you're done, you click save. It creates your form. Of course, you have that little is active button. If you need to turn something off for a season, you can do that. Now with the work orders, notice this. We do get the link, but we do also get the embed code here. Okay, so I get both. So if I want to put this on my website, I can do that. Don't ask me to explain embed code to you because it's not my pay grade. I can't do that, but you can copy it right to your clipboard, paste it, and send it to somebody else. You can do the same thing with the link. Now, the other thing you can do with the links, and this is important, you can do it for these or for the event request forms as well. You can go find some free QR code generator and create a QR code from that link. That's what I have here. So this QR code, all I did was copy this link, pasted it into a QR code generator. There's a bunch of free ones out there on the internet you can choose from. And it generates that QR code. And from that, I can then post those QR codes in a place that makes it convenient. The folks will simply take their mobile device, turn on the camera, scan, click, and it's going to open the form right here on their mobile device, and they can fill it out. Super easy to do. Well, that is a great way. I meant to click here and look at it. So this is my general work order request form. You'll see I've got a number of fields that are required that need to be filled out, including that description. I even have the ability to attach files when you fill out a work order. Maybe you took a photo of that sink that's backed up when you're filling out the work order. If only everyone would do that for us, right? They can attach it right here, do that real person verification, submit it, and it's going to route right into your work order flow. Now, if your work order flow, if you have routing rules in place, maybe this work order gets automatically assigned to somebody. If you prefer to look at them all as an admin and then assign them out, it's going to come right into your new work orders queue. So it's going to flow exactly the way you want it to, based off your work rules that you have in place. Now I have this other form I filled out, and it's the restroom attention work order. I don't know, raise your hand if you've ever been at service on Sunday and somebody says there's no paper towels. The garbage is overflowing. And certainly we want to deal with those things right away. But I know I've been in restrooms where there's a QR code on the mirror that says restroom needs attention. Scan this and let us know. This work order would be attached to a QR code that I've created. I'm only going to let you choose from 2 service categories. Restroom needs attention and cleaning. Those are 2 service categories of many that I have created. I'm only going to let you pick 2 priorities. It's either standard or low. Paper towels are important, but I'm not going to let the general public scan a QR code in the bathroom mirror and use urgent. And then it's the rest of the options. I choose what I think is most appropriate, and those are the defaults. And so based off this, I can choose maybe these 2 service categories route to the person that's responsible for making sure the restrooms are working and running and everything's in good shape. And they're there on the weekends. I want those to go straight to that person. So I can build that, and I build that as part of my routing rules. Again, Casey is going to cover that with Nathan in the next session. So you'll get a lot more information there. All right. I know, we hit time. That was a lot to say in a short amount of time.
That was a lot. I love these public request forms, both for event scheduler and order and asset management. Kim was right. Nathan and I are starting our session about advanced settings and work order and asset management in 5 minutes. So we'll peel back some layers in work order management and those advanced settings there. So, all right.
Okay.
Fantastic.
If we didn't get to your questions, we'll try to do follow-up, but don't forget, you also have the knowledge base available to you. Just find that link in the upper right corner of your screen after you click help, knowledge base, and you can open tickets with support if you need us.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.